You know they got salads.
some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's time again for Let's Talk Racing. Welcome everybody. We got Al Pearce on the right, Collin Brown in the middle, Scott Brown on the left, and Roger Brehm on the backside.
Bring it up the rear.
Bring it up the rear, as they say. Anywho,
Running 38th.
so did you have fun in Atlanta, Al?
I didn't go to Atlanta. No.
What do you
I had been gone from home for 15 days.
Oh gosh.
I wasn't
Did your
about.
wife stand it?
Detroit trip and all.
I wasn't about to come home
And then leave
and
again.
turn around on Thursday and go back to Atlanta. So no, no.
So what'd you think of the Atlanta
We
race?
just stayed down there.
Yeah, I could have stayed. My wife would have divorced me. But, the race that I watched on TV was not the race that everybody seemed to be writing about. Now, the drivers might have had a lot of fun. They may have loved it. And I've seen some people written have said it was a pretty good show. Boy, I don't know. I didn't see a whole lot of, they brag about lead changes. Well, how many of those are on pit road? Those kind of things sort of spooked me. So if the drivers liked it and they enjoyed this package, of course they've only had it one weekend, then it seems like that's probably what NASCAR wants.
Yeah.
They want the drivers to speak well of it. They think they can convince us that the guys racing for 19th and 20th are worth watching when the leader's,
Gone.
half a straightaway gone. Okay. That's what they want to do, that's what they can do. So I was not there in person, so all I've got to go on is what TV showed. Did not show a very good grandstand either. They did not have the kind of crowd.
Well,
Slam full.
No, absolutely perfect day.
Yes.
They can't complain about weather. They can't say, well, let's do, and I think the second race of the year, being in the Southeast, is the worst day the track can have. I have said for years, and they don't listen to me, which is okay. I think they should spend 2 weeks in Daytona, or 10 days in Daytona, take the next weekend off, let those poor guys go home, and stay with their families for 7 or 8 or 9 days in a row, and then go out west. Come back to Atlanta some other time. If you want to come back to Atlanta on Easter Saturday, or Mother's Day Saturday, okay. But I've always thought they should give teams the week off after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because what? They're already spending almost 2 weeks there anyway.
yeah, most of them go down on Thursday and they don't get back till the Monday after the race or the Sunday night after. They've been gone 9 days, maybe 10. I just think I'd give them a week off, let the teams catch their breath. NASCAR's argument is, well, Daytona is our momentum builder. That gets us going. That gets us into the spotlight.
Kickstart.
And we hate to get everybody all juiced up and then have a week off.
Yeah, and then it's like,
So,
What if they delayed the season by a week?
Oh, yeah.
Rather than always kicking off on February 18th,
February
would it matter
23rd.
if we kick the season off in March?
yeah, because President's Day, I think, has always been the traditional
That Monday.
sort of the start of things.
Okay.
And that's a holiday. And a lot of people, as I drove back Monday morning, there were tons of campers and motor coaches with New York, New Jersey, Canada plates headed north. And you could tell they'd been at the race. You could just look at them and tell. And those folks had Monday off, so they were going back home.
I got you.
And I think if you raced on a weekend that was not a holiday, it might put some people in a bind, but they have run that race the same time of year for so long, it would be difficult probably to regenerate people's mindset. So, but they could give them a week off. Give them a week off after Daytona, and then go to California, or then go to Vegas, Phoenix, California, come home. They come home to an off weekend. Why not give them the off weekend before they leave? So.
Yeah. So overall, right now, there's not enough out there to say whether they are doing the right thing or the wrong thing.
Well, they've only
with the
had,
racing
they've only had the one
package that they
race.
have right now. That,
Right.
and I guess half the battle is, like you're saying, keeping the drivers happy so that they have good things to say when
Mhm.
they're interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're saying about Vegas is it's totally different in terms of the pavement. It won't be as rough, it'll be smooth.
Right.
So, we don't know who's going to be able to take advantage of the new. This will be like, brand new
Yeah.
with this downforce package on this style track. So
And now-
maybe they'll get
yeah,
some.
Now we got it for Charlotte and other
My
tracks. too.
problem is still that the leader has such an advantage, and it seems like on the double file restarts, most tracks they go to, it seems like wherever's the preferred
Yeah,
lane
yeah.
always gets the big jump, and then it
They're
gets to
going.
be follow the leader. Again, there's not a lot of ability to catch whoever's leading. So if they can figure that out to where we have some door-to-door racing at some point,
Well,
not just the
Sunday,
last lap.
I think Sunday Harvick acknowledged he spun his tires, and that kind of got him messed up. That let the inside line go, and once that inside line goes, and you're on the outside,
You're done.
you race more than I have, or obviously. And I mean, I don't know how you get in if nobody lets you in.
Well, you're not getting
And with
You're not
5 to
getting
go
in.
or 3 to go, they're not gonna let you in.
No.
Not unless you decide to force your way in there
Yeah.
and make
Yeah.
a wreck of it. Make
Yeah.
a wreck out of it.
Wind up cutting the tire or
Which
something.
is that's what I thought.
Wheel hop in the legend car.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen with Kenseth and Hamlin at Daytona. I thought there was going to be a hell of a wreck with those two guys taking out. At that point, Truex was kind of gone, and at least a little. I mean, he would have been way gone, but I thought Hamlin and Kenseth were about to take out the first 15 running cars right there.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't, it shows how good they are. They're
I
pretty
think
good.
sometimes just natural reaction gets played up to be more than it is. In some ways, when you looked at the in-car view of how Hamlin made that pass and so forth, when Kenseth came up, he just kind of held the wheel. They could have made contact when Kenseth came up, and then he had nowhere else to go but to dive down. But to hear them tell the story after the fact, oh my God, did you see the great move that Denny made? Well, I mean, he made the only move he could make, and it was basically like, I'm going to hold my breath and turn the wheel to the left because I don't know whether I'm going to take out whoever's underneath me or
But he knew
anything else.
He knew he had Harvick behind him,
Yeah,
giving him a shove. So
yeah.
But obviously Sunday in Atlanta, that would have been Harvick's race easy.
Oh yeah.
If it had not been the late caution.
I think Harvick's got it in
I
Vegas
just-
this week
I
because
just-
he's been dominant there. I mean, he's been
Yeah.
dominant on the West
Yeah.
Coast, so I think he's
Yeah.
got it this weekend.
Yeah, last year he won 2 out of 3 on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So but I'll tell you what, right now, the early reports are Toyota's gonna be hard to beat.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Well,
and my entire Autoweek story there, it was about the Toyota people saying that we decided Sunday or Saturday night that we all got together Saturday night, the 4 gift cars and the 4 gift cars and the 1 furniture row car. We all got together, and we sort of agreed among ourselves that we would not do anything to jeopardize each other. That a Toyota was going to win this thing for the first time in 11 years, and that
Well, they came
that's
within a
all.
whisker of
Yeah.
Oh.
Almost.
messing that up.
Yeah.
Although I guess if it hadn't been for that, then I guess Truex in a
Truex would have
Toyota.
gotten
But,
it. Yeah.
but he's in a
Cleared him.
Toyota.
Yep.
That's what I mean.
They
He
went
would
to
have.
Toyota now.
Yeah.
He would have won it for Toyota.
Yeah.
So,
So
still
you had a
would've-
Toyota 1,
Yeah.
Toyota was second,
Yeah.
third, Harvick was 4th maybe,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and Edwards I think was 5th.
I
Yeah.
think so.
So they finished 1, 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
Then further back you had Kenseth trying to get squared away, but yeah, those 5 the gift cars and the 78 are gonna be awfully. It'll be hard to beat. They're gonna be good.
Kansas had a really great save though. When he got knocked out of the line there
Mhm.
at Daytona, he did a really nice job on saving it.
When do you start
Well-
racing again?
April 1st, Friday night, Southside Speedway,
Oh, okay.
Midlothian, Virginia.
So we can all be at Martinsville.
Huh. I'm running that Friday evening,
Well, we'll see if
Friday morning I'll drive up there.
the Joe Gibbs car is going to be tough, and the fact that Truex is part of that. But then we'll see if these penalties with Cole Pern are going to take any wind out of not Kansas, but Truex's sail.
Yeah.
So
You think?
he may or may not
You know, you just
continue on with the way he's been running.
as good as they've been so far. You know, it'd be awfully difficult to imagine that team could not get by one race without him.
Mm.
Now, if he was being laid out for 4 or 5,
Yeah.
maybe then. But people don't remember, or maybe they do remember, that the first race that Jeff Gordon ran without Ray Evernham, he won.
Mm-hmm.
They had a substitute crew chief. Evernham had quit that week, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. And they named Brian Weitzel to be the crew chief that weekend at Martinsville. And Gordon won that weekend and the next weekend. So I think if a crew chief has got, again, I've never raced, I don't know. But I think if a crew chief has got everything in place, almost anybody could run the team.
Mm-hmm.
Even Roger could run the team. Maybe.
When
Well,
do you-
maybe not.
When do you think the impact will start to be seen at Stewart Haas Racing with making that switch over to Ford?
Oh, I know.
You're talking about
manufacturer switch middle.
you're talking about
Might be a
Kurt
lame
Busch.
duck, yeah.
I'm saying, but you're talking about Kurt Busch and Harvick, having run well the past couple of years, and now all of a sudden,
On the
in
Ford.
this situation, all of a sudden their luck could change a little bit,
Like,
Because I mean, you can't.
Chevy
Henry's
won't give them a
going
lot
to
more
support them, but they can't continue to share
data.
data with
I
them.
wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. Although Penske might say, okay, well, no, that wouldn't do any good.
How about Roush?
Penske can't help him because they're still in Chevrolets.
You think Roush?
They're a lame duck of all lame ducks. They've got to get through the rest of the year with what they've got.
Yeah.
Um,
Whatever they got in their files that they can pull out and work with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And with the new package, you're not going to have that much.
Right.
Yeah,
All it's
not a
on the
lot.
driver.
they may have to learn as they go along.
Let's talk racing.
Hey, how's it going? Tommy Joe.
Hey Tommy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Well, we're talking racing and shooting the shit and having a good old time, as it should be.
That's good. That's a perfect afternoon.
Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Let everybody know a little bit about your racing stuff and how you got to where you're at.
Sure. My name's Tommy Joe Martins. I'm the driver of the number 44 Don Augusta Chevrolet in the Camp World Truck Series. Been racing for a long time. Been racing since I was a teenager. I came up through dirt go-karts and made my way to sports cars, and then finally got into stock car racing around 2008, 2009. And I've always kind of done NASCAR kind of part-time. Had a couple chances to do it full-time, and first one didn't really work out. This is kind of the second chance at it. Just really excited for the opportunity.
Good deal.
All right. Hey, Tommy, this is Collin Brown, a local legend car driver here in Virginia.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Doing good.
So, how did your job as a driving instructor come about, and what is it that you did as a driving instructor?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So I work out here at Spring Mountain. It's Ron Fellows Performance Driving School, right outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. So we're the official driving school of Corvette. So really cool opportunity. I raced in the Nationwide Series in 2014, and it didn't really work out. The team kind of wound up shut down there in the middle of the year. And so I was looking for really a way to stay around racing. It was basically get a real job or try to find something involving racing. And really, there's not too many driving schools that are high-performance driving schools in the country. It's kind of a rare thing. So I had been told by an instructor at Bondurant, actually out in Phoenix, that if he could go somewhere and be an instructor, it would be at Spring Mountain. So I basically wrote an email to the to the lead instructor and said, do you have any positions? And he called me right back and basically flew out and offered me a job. So it was really kind of a whirlwind thing. I started out there in early 2015 and then basically have been here ever since.
That's cool. So, What did you do to stay focused in the times when you were in and out of the car?
Oh, what I think being in a car all the time helps you. It doesn't matter really what kind of car it is. That's where I think I've been really lucky. Having done the NASCAR stuff, and now I've gotten back into being around sports cars and being around Corvettes all the time. It's been able to really help me keep my focus up. For somebody that might have a lot of time in between races, like most people normally do, it becomes really tough. The thing that I would say is, for anybody in between races, I really like getting on iRacing. I always thought that really helped. That's kind of a more cheaper option to just kind of get your eyes accustomed to doing laps. I think that's the big thing is focus, especially over the course of long races, short races. If you can be focused there at the end of the race when it's down to crunch time, I think that definitely helps you out.
And what's your plan B for using your journalism degree in case you keep hopping in and out of the car?
Oh yeah, that's we were talking about my whole days there, man. I graduated from there with a journalism degree. That was back in 2012. I blame racing for me graduating so late in college. Basically, I always had one foot in the door, one foot out. In college, I was always basically part-time there. But I'd love to be able to do something with my degree. I've always enjoyed writing, speaking. It's always been a lot of fun for me. I actually did broadcasting a little bit before I got into racing full-time. So maybe return to that one day. Hopefully no day soon. I'd rather be in the car than behind a mic. I think that I like that a little bit better. But yeah, someday, maybe down the road. Maybe I'm it's kind of romantic, but I really enjoy writing even more than speaking. I've kind of found that I really enjoy that part of it as well. So yeah, maybe something later down the road.
Okay.
Tommy, when they announced the caution clock thing for the Truck Series, announced it back in January during a media tour, it caught all of us by complete total surprise. We had no clue it was coming. Did you guys know about it ahead of time, or was it as big a shock to y'all as it was to the rest of the world?
I had no idea. I found out on Twitter that the caution clock was a thing. So that was complete news to me. We had no forewarning at all. So that bomb got dropped on us just like it got dropped on everybody else.
What was your very first, when you first heard about it, give me your thoughts that you had for the first minute of knowing about it. Did you just think it was crazy or weird or wild, or what did you think right off the bat?
My first reaction to it was that this is kind of radical. This is kind of a crazy idea. But really, it didn't take me a long time to really warm up to it. Honestly, I think it's kind of a cool idea. NASCAR was kind of getting a rough reputation there over the last couple of years, throwing, debris cautions and stuff like that. And really, I thought this was a great way of really eliminating all the guesswork from everybody, and also providing exciting racing. Realistically, it gives teams more chances to make their race cars better. We had our struggles at Atlanta, where we wound up falling a lap down early on. We were really fighting handling, and also we wound up having a tire issue. But, basically, if we're able to just stay on the lead lap, we know we got a caution coming up and we got a chance to work on the car. So that, to me, is really appealing. And also, more restarts is more fun for the fans. So honestly, I really don't mind the idea. I think it's kind of a cool idea. And I think it's something that you're actually going to get to see adopted in the Xfinity Series and in the Sprint Cup Series as well. I really see it going that way.
Somebody mentioned the other day that they had done some research in that in the 2014 and 15 seasons combined, would have only have been one time when a caution clock was used. So they were wondering, well, if we've only used it once in the last 2 years, why do we even need it? But then again, somebody said, well, what if they do have a caution-free race, and some poor guy goes off and laps the field, and TV's sitting there just dying because there's nothing to show, so let's do it just in case. So I guess that's kind of the thinking.
Yeah, and I don't think it's bad thinking. You look at our race, and I'd heard that stat before. You're not the first person to bring that up to me. I think, I heard something that was like 2 or 3 times or something like that, not just once, but yeah, where it was really rare. But you look at our race in Atlanta, we had the caution clock come on twice, time out twice in one race. I think you're going to see that more, quite frankly. I think these cars are, I'm not saying easy to drive because they're not. At a place like Atlanta, it was not easy to drive, but I also think the skill level of the drivers is really good too. So with these mile-and-a-half tracks where we can get a little more spread out, you're going to see these long green flag runs just like you saw in the Cup race. Believe me, I'm telling you, a lot of the drivers in that Cup race would have been perfectly fine with a 30-minute caution clock. They would have been perfectly fine with that. And I think the TV networks would have been fine with it as well. Instead, you wound up getting, I think it was a 217-lap green flag run, which for all the racing purists out there, I'm sure that's fine. And, I don't mind it, but I think having that break is really not a bad thing. I think everybody's going to be fine with that.
Let me ask you one final question for me about the Truck Series. And I've got to offer this disclaimer to begin with. The guy I'm about to ask you about is from here, this part of Virginia. He raced here for years. Everybody up here loves him because he was a great guy back in the day. But Elton Sawyer seems to have kind of found a home with your series. Apparently he's pretty well thought of among the competitors.
I'm guessing you're talking about Timothy Peters.
No, Elton Sawyer.
Oh, Elton Sawyer. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Elton, as kind of the director of the series, he did a great job. This is really my first chance working with him.
Okay.
In this series. When I raced in the Truck Series back in 2009, I believe it was Wayne Ock was the series director, who's now the series director of the Xfinity series, and I think really both of them have done just a fantastic job. I can't really say enough about both of them. They both made me, even though we're a very small team, and I'm kind of a small-time driver, they've made me feel very, very at home, and they've always kind of extended their arms and tried to help us out however they could. So I can't say enough about both of them.
Yeah, I suspected that if you had an issue, Elton would treat you as a small team, as you call yourself. He would give you the same consideration, the same thoughtful answers, the same help he'd give anybody. So if you have a problem, I think you'll feel comfortable working with him, because I've known him for, almost 30 years. He's longer than that, 35 years. And he's a pretty good guy.
Oh, yeah. No, he's made a tremendous first impression on me, and I look forward to working with him the rest of the season.
Now, you guys race this weekend in Vegas, is that correct?
The Xfinity series does.
I thought trucks were there.
Trucks are, we're off.
That's right, until Martinsville, that's right.
We get a little break here.
Okay.
Believe me, after our first couple of races here, I wish we were racing today. I want to get back to the track as soon as possible.
Hey Tommy, Scott Brown here. Just kind of going back and revisiting just for a second on that caution clock. I was listening to Kyle Petty talk about it today, and he's talking about the Truck Series as a development series where crew chiefs need to learn strategy and drivers need to learn to be out there and focus and all that. And he's not a big fan of the clock because he feels like you're not teaching those drivers what to do on a long run. That you're breaking it up every 20 minutes, so these guys are not kind of getting the full feel of being in the car on a longer run. What's kind of your thoughts about that?
Man, I love Kyle Petty. I mean, you're talking about one of my idols growing up there. That was kind of my racing hero. That's actually the reason that we run the 44 is because of Kyle Petty back in the day. So that's kind of it's a precursor to everything that I'm about to say, because I really disagree with everything that he just said right here. I completely disagree with everything wholeheartedly. I think to call the Truck Series a development series is really kind of looking at the Truck Series the wrong way. The Truck Series is a destination series. It's a top 3 national NASCAR series for basically every stock car driver in this country. So I don't look at it that way at all. I look at it as a destination. For some of these young guys coming up, they use it as a development series. But I don't see it in that light at all. And as far as, crew chiefs need to learn strategy and everything like that, and the caution clock messing it up, quite frankly, this is NASCAR's experiment. And they're experimenting with this idea in the Truck Series. And just like they've done before, if this thing works the way they would like it to work, or it looks like it's a successful idea, they're going to bring it up through the series. I don't think anybody wants to see 200 and 300 lap green flag runs. And really, you can talk about the focus of the driver and all that kind of stuff, but really it doesn't lead to very exciting TV. So I don't really see that being an issue either. So I really disagree with that standpoint, that, it's a learning ground. Like, if that's the way you're treating it, if you're treating it like it's AAA baseball, I think that's the wrong way to be looking at it.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Al, you've been riding for a few days in your career. What advice would you have for Tommy when he gets into latter days? Maybe he wants to go into a little more of the journalism side of it.
Yeah, man, you're closing the door on me pretty quick here.
No, I know you may have. I'm just saying, you may be racing at 55. I don't know, but at some point you sound like you had passion. You sound like you had a lot of passion in terms of riding. So I thought, somebody with over 40 years of experience may have a.
Almost 50.
Okay, almost 50. I thought maybe he might have something to say around that as well.
No, I just.
No, for me, moving forward, if I could do this for another, 5 to 10 years, quite frankly, in the Truck Series, I'm perfectly happy in the Truck Series. I have no ambitions of being the next hotshot Cup Series driver. That's not how I see myself. First of all, I'm not young enough, and I don't have the type of financial backing to really make a big run at something like that anyway. So if I could just establish myself as a good, solid NASCAR driver for 5 to 10 years, somebody that people look at and go, he's a good veteran driver. That to me would be a rewarding career. And then I think that will lead to other opportunities. I think if you can establish yourself as having some personality, being engaging, and also as a good veteran driver that understands the sport and a lot of the other dynamics, I think that can lead to other opportunities after your career. So I'm not in a hurry to get to that stage, but I also know that I don't want to do this forever, traveling and being gone all the time. I don't really enjoy that part of the job. So it's part of something that I love, and I understand that's part of it. You got to do it. But I'm also very conscious of what I want to do next, and I'm looking for that being closer to 40 than 50 or 60, like some of the guys that have been able to do this for a really long time.
Now, where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Ole Miss. I graduated from the University of Mississippi back in 2012.
Mighty tidy, God Almighty, who the hell are we? Yeah,
That's right.
I know all about Ole Miss.
That's right.
I know all about Ole Miss. I've been a writer. I've been a journalist. I've been covering this thing since '69, and I'm probably either approaching or I have recently covered my 1,000th race because I'm Cup race.
Wow.
If you start
That's a big.
I'll tell you what, if you start adding in all the Xfinity and truck and late models and modifieds and IndyCar and drag racing, I'm up there.
Yeah.
The thing you're going to find out as a journalist, almost, no matter what you write, you're going to make somebody mad. And I'm serious. I don't care how good it is. I don't care how honest it is. I don't care how truthful you try to be. You're going to eventually write a word or sentence that would be the only negative sentence in an entire story, and that driver's mother or wife or crew chief or neighbor is going to find you and say, "How dare you say that about my boy?"
Right.
Well, that's exactly what happened, ma'am.
It is what it is.
He was stopped by a patrolman for drunk driving on the highway, and we can't not let that be mentioned as part of what a great guy everybody thinks he is. Well, you don't need to bring up so don't even. It's like it's the same with me and Jeff Gluck used to call John West Townley John Rex Weekly.
That's right.
That was what Jeff Gluck called him. Well, Jeff Gluck now works for USA Today. Mike Embry has excoriated people. I've excoriated people. But you gotta be true to what you believe. And if people call you and scream at you, at least they're reading, you know.
Oh, no kidding. It's good to have an audience that would care one way or the other. One of the things that I figured out in this sport, quite frankly, the hard way, is the biggest thing that you can't be in any sort of professional sports is you can't be irrelevant.
Oh, right,
You can't be irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, you could be bad, you could be bad, and you could be good, but you can't be irrelevant. And so that's one thing that I really tried to work on this time. Really try to focus on social media and a little bit more the marketing and the PR aspect of it, and reaching out to guys like you and your show and all this kind of stuff, and really just try to be more outgoing about the whole thing. And it's really just been tremendous, the reception that I've been able to get, and the encouragement that everybody's been able to give us after a couple tough weeks. Whereas before, when I did this in 2014, a lot of times felt like I was on an island by myself, you know, and I don't know why I made it like that. You know, maybe I just felt like I wasn't good enough, or our team wasn't big enough to need to get talked about or anything like that, and I just think that was a complete wrong approach. So really kind of opened my eyes to a different part of the sport and a different way of kind of looking at who you are in the sport. You know, the thing that I realized is we can be small, and that's okay. Like, nobody is going to judge us or be mad at us or be upset with us for being a small team and being a little underfunded. But you got to make them care about you one way or the other. You know, you can't go out there and just nobody know who you are. That doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't do our sponsors any good. It doesn't do me any good. So I'm just taking a very different approach this time. So yeah, when you say, you know, at least they're saying something about you, you know, I feel the same way. I've got people making fun of me on Twitter when we had a tire go down that first race in Daytona. But as far as I'm concerned, at least people were saying something. You know, that's you know, I've been able to laugh about it. But it's good. It's better to have some engagement than people just being different about you.
I think you'll be all right as a journalist if you approach it with one cardinal rule. Never approach a story with the conscious, malicious intent to hurt anybody.
Right.
Now, you may make somebody mad in your story, or you may make somebody mad if you ask a question on camera that they're not ready for. But unless you go in there and you think, okay, I'm going to really screw this guy to the wall and I'm going to enjoy watching him squirm. As long as you don't do that, most people will forgive you almost anything. So,
right.
Just
as long as you're being objective, there's not a whole lot to really be mad about.
Well, you don't have to be objective all the time, because that's what columns and that's what editorials are for, to say what you think, not necessarily. You know, I wrote a big piece for Autoweek at Daytona, saying that the Daytona 500 is still the biggest race of the year, the most prestigious, but it is no longer the teams look at the other 35 races much more than they look at one. And I didn't make Daytona irrelevant, but I did say that it's kind of a one-off in that the rules package at Daytona will not be repeated again until Daytona in July. In teams that have got the long view, by that I mean the championship, they just want to run Daytona, do well, make some money, but that is not the biggest thing on the year. The biggest thing in the year is Homestead. So, and some people didn't like it, but I thought, well, I told them what I thought, and that's, you know, the way it goes.
Sure.
All right, Tommy, we're going to go ahead and let you get out of here. Go ahead and do a shout out to your sponsors, and we're going to move on to Robert. I know he's been enjoying listening to the conversation.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just of course, got to say thank you to Don and Gus Jeans. Huge supporter of me for my entire career. They've just been tremendous partners for us. RPM Trailer Sales, Clickit.tv, and Ronnie and Lynn Reese Construction out of Memphis. Just all of them. Thank you so much for everything you do for my career, and thank you guys for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
All right.
Now, where are you from?
Born in Memphis, Tennessee. Grew up in Mississippi, up in North Mississippi.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I know. The accent shines through every once in a while.
Okay.
All right, talk to you later, Tommy Joe.
All right, thank you guys. You guys have a good show.
Thank you,
thanks a
too.
lot.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, Robert.
What do you say?
You've been listening, so you know what we've been saying.
Well, I'm just wondering who you're talking about. I mean, I kind of know what comes with the territory of being called names and made fun of, and especially on social media. But I guess that just kind of comes with the territory. If you're in a pretty high position, you get more criticism from it.
Yeah, that was Tommy Joe Martins. He had expressed the possibility of later on in his racing career to go into the media side of it. So Al was giving him some info.
Giving him some suggestions. I hope he doesn't follow all of them.
I kind of let people do their own thing, but nonetheless, what's been going on with you guys? It's been a minute since I got to visit with y'all.
I tell you, I was so well. I was keeping track of you, and that's when you knew I started shooting you little messages. But I was so happy to see that you were able to get out and be able to do some more racing and getting out there at Daytona, and managed to get qualified in with all the new changes they did on you.
Oh yeah. It was that whole deal. How it came about was just out of nowhere, and it was totally one of the good Lord's blessings to just come out of nowhere. When I was out mowing my pastures, getting ready for this spring, for hay production and everything I've been doing for the past couple of years out here, working on the ranch. But I was just out there mowing, and I got a phone call from Lane Segers from Stalkit and Corn Board, and he'd been, I guess, searching for a couple of different teams to potentially work out a deal to run the Daytona 500. And he was narrowing his choices, and he told me he would know by Monday. This was on a Friday, and he said that he would know on Monday for sure which way we were going to go and if I would be available to drive it. And I told him, does a one-legged duck swim in circles? And that's how we answer things in Texas. That's a yes in Texas, rather.
Isn't that at your entrance to your farm? Isn't there something like that on there?
I'm sorry?
I noticed on one of your posts on Facebook you had a one-legged duck in a picture.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was kind of, reading about, my story on how we ended up getting the ride for Daytona, and, I threw that quote out there in a couple of my interviews, and people just kind of looked at me funny, but other folks and other fans kind of took it upon themselves to get T-shirts made and decals made and all sorts of stuff. Throughout that weekend, and the press that we received from Speed Weeks and for the 500 was just unbelievable. I mean, the night that we made the 500 in the dual races, I mean, you would have thought that I won the race. I mean, Kyle Busch and everybody, they're in victory lane, but 3/4 of the media were there on top of me. Saying, congratulations, you just made the Daytona 500, and, they could care less about Kyle. So it was just an unbelievable experience. And, here I am, 33 years old, trying to take care of a newborn baby with my wife here at the house, and just been busier than all get out. Be able to go down and be blessed enough to have an opportunity to run the Daytona 500, much less make the race, was unbelievable.
Robert, I was one of those media types that were there on that Thursday night. I was there when you came in the media center. They kind of hustled you out of there before I could ask a very important question. That is, you said you lived north of the Speedway and up near Denton, up in that general area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was going to ask you how far you live from the Ponder Steakhouse.
The Ponder or the Ponderosa?
The Ponder, there's a little town between the racetrack and Denton called Ponder.
Denton, yeah.
And if you get off the interstate...
I'm probably about 40, 45 minutes from Ponder.
Okay. They got a pretty good little old steakhouse there that time seems to have forgotten it's like they built it in 1870 and it's still the same as they built it in 1870. But I'll tell you what, boy, you can get a steak and a baked potato there, and that'll be a meal. So the next
I
time,
guarantee you, there's people in Texas, we like to eat good. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, when I come walking in the garage, is always saying, boy, you need to lose weight, or you're a husky, or, you know, when I was playing football, I was always, oh, you're too small, you know, you need to put on some weight. But whenever I come into the NASCAR garage, it's a completely different story. I mean, you gotta look like Jiminy Cricket nowadays to go hopping in a race car. You know, be skinny enough as these other drivers are, won't be walking through the garage area.
the
It's
two,
funny.
the two places that most of us in the media go to when we're at Texas Motor Speedway, we go to Babe's for fried chicken,
Oh, yeah.
and we go to Ponder Steakhouse. So,
Yep. Yeah, Babe's is a staple, you know, especially around here. The original Babe's Chicken Dinner House is right down the road from my house. I'm 15 minutes from it.
oh, okay.
Here in Sanger, Texas, which is just north of Denton.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a lot of these folks, you know, especially the NASCAR guys, that's one of the very first stops they want to go to is Babe's Chicken when they come to Texas.
Yeah, there's one in Roanoke where most of us go and eat, so, okay.
Either that or they want to go to the stockyards down there in Fort Worth.
Well, that's too far to get. That's too commercial. That's not authentic enough. Ponder Steakhouse is pretty authentic.
I've
Yep.
been at the stockyard, but I haven't eaten a Ponder.
When you finish the qualifying race that Thursday night, how long after the checkered flag did you know you'd made the show?
I mean, once all the adrenaline, you know, kind of set aside and the reality of it set in, you know, it was probably a couple hours later when I finally calmed down and got done, you know, with all the media obligations, and I got back to the hauler and we're just sitting there about to change. I'm sitting in the lounge of the hauler there in the garage area just all by myself and just sitting there kind of catching my breath about everything. And my wife walks in and she's like, you know, congratulations, you made the Daytona 500, and I'm just sitting there shaking my head like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it. And, you know, my wife and I had been, you know, praying for a way to, you know, jumpstart, you know, our son's college fund. And, you know, technically we didn't have the, you know, finances available to really, you know, put it, you know, into play. And then once I got the phone call from Leighton Segerstrom about the Daytona 500, it was like the good Lord answered our prayers. Like, here's an opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And we did. You know, it was a one-shot deal. And you know, when the lights came on and it was time to go, we, you know, did you know what we had to do. And I'm very proud of Mike Ford and all the guys that were working on the 26 car, you know, with BK Racing and. You know, for a group of guys that came together in a matter of 2 weeks before the Daytona 500 to build a car from the ground up, you know, just show up to the track still putting decals on the car and go out and put down a solid qualifying lap to put us, you know, in a good position to be locked in for the 500. Go out and do what we needed to do in the duels to make the 500. It just speaks volumes about, you know, Ron Devine and their entire organization at BK Racing, what they're capable of doing this year. And, you know, Toyota's really stepped up their game. You know, I'm not sure if you guys have heard this or not, but, you know, BK pretty much bought the remainder of Michael Waltrip Racing's, you know, cars, equipment, motors, so on and so forth, whenever they shut down last season. So, you know, Toyota's jumped on board with BK, all the engineering help, motor development programs with TRD and Triad Motors, everything that they need is at their fingertips. And so to make all 4 cars for BK Racing to make the Daytona 500 is an amazing feat in itself. You know, that's kind of unheard of for unless you're, you know, Joe Gibbs or Hendricks or, you know, especially for some of these teams that have been underfunded for such a long period of time to go out and compete with those, you know, caliber of cars. It was a pretty awesome experience to, you know, put our foot in the door and be like, hold on, wait a minute, you know, we're here, and we're here to party with you boys and get after it. So it was an awesome experience, and I hope that maybe one day I get another opportunity at it. But if not, I'll just hop on to my John Deere tractor and ride off into the sunset.
Apparently I think you gave me the answer that you thought I was looking for, and I'm really thinking, when you took the checkered flag that Thursday night, did you know at that moment you were in the field, or did your spotter have to tell you, or did somebody on the pit box say we're in, or when did you actually know you were in the show?
Well, ultimately, we had to race. David Gilliland was the guy that we had to race hard and deep, and also keep him behind Matt DiBenedetto, who qualified on time or on speed. And then so in a sense we had to kind of block him and hold him up from getting up there to race with Matt, but at the same time, keep ourselves in position to where if we needed to pass him on the last minute deal, we could. And, everything just worked out in our favor. And, nobody on the pit box or the spotter or anything really told me much. They just kind of let me race my race, and they told me if I needed to pick up the pace or if I needed to, make any, drastic moves to create some separation between me and the other cars that we were racing, they would let me know. But ultimately, I didn't know that we'd made it until after we took the checkered flag, and crew chief comes on the radio and says, "Congratulations, buddy, you're in."
Okay.
I'm proud of you, So, it's been an unbelievable experience, and all the press that we've got, especially folks here from my hometown in Pilot Point, Texas. Half of the members from the church that we go to here at Midway Baptist Church here in Pilot Point came to the racetrack and supported us that weekend. So it's amazing all the support we've got from home, and to be able to come home with open arms and people aren't throwing rocks at you. It's an amazing feeling.
How'd you feel to wind up getting the tag Cinderella story?
Well, I didn't quite turn into Cinderella. I kind of turned into a pumpkin at midnight, since we blew our motors during the race. But, it was pretty funny. Some of my buddies were calling me going, "Hey, Cinderella." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And, "Yeah, you haven't heard?" I'm like, "No." And so, "Well, you need to get on, this page. They wrote an article about you in the Dallas-Fort Worth paper about you being the Cinderella story of Daytona." And I said, "Oh boy."
Well, it worked. It got you a lot of airtime, and shoot, like you said, the media swarmed all over you.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the media, eats that stuff up, because typically they'll sit there and interview, the top 5 or top 10 drivers, but everyone else that's out there that hardly ever gets interviewed, nobody knows anything about them. And that's why it's so hard for a lot of these teams to find sponsorship, because they don't get any TV time. It's amazing if people would just approach, the drivers that are running from, 20th on back and interview them. I mean, they can find a whole bunch of cool stuff, out about these drivers. If you want to talk one that, sticks out in my mind is Eric McClure. He's got like 20-something kids. And he could have
all
his own
girls.
reality TV show. Yeah, he could have his own reality TV show right now. Rather than John and Kate plus 8, it could be Eric and his wife and plus umpteen kids that he's got. So
I think he's up to 6.
yeah, he is a blessed man. I love him to death, and there's so many good guys in the garage that don't get the recognition that they deserve. They put a lot of hard work and effort into just staying involved in this sport and staying active in it for so long. And it's a shame that the media has their 5 or 10 drivers that they stick to every single week. And I'm sure the fans get tired of hearing about it, to an extent. But it's our job as racers again to run up front and get the media attention. So, and that's the hard part. You you got guys out here with trying to race a Corvette versus a Corvair and trying to win a race. It's more than likely it's not going to happen unless it's through attrition. But I would just be happy to see the media cover a lot of drivers that are out there looking for sponsors and kind of find out the backstory on a lot of these other guys' career, because some of them have stories just as unique as mine.
Yeah,
Jump in there.
I remember when you're talking about a lot of attention back at Richmond one year when you, me, and Charles were hanging out there at the pit wall.
Yeah, how is Charles, by the way? I've been trying to call him, and I haven't got a call back from him. Talked to his wife a couple of times, but I haven't seen or heard from him in a while.
I'll check and see what I can find out and get back to you on it.
Okay, great.
All right, hey Robert, this is Collin Brown, local legend car driver here in Virginia.
What's going on, buddy?
Not much, just counting down to race season starting up.
Heck yeah, man.
So, what was your major at SMU, and how have you applied it with the working world or in the racing world?
Well, it's kind of hard to put my major into play with auto racing, but studio art was my focus in college. Photography was my focus, but doing all different types of design work and stuff like that was also something that I've always enjoyed, even from when I was a kid and growing up and on into college, where I could really hone in and focus on getting better at it. But it helped me design paint schemes and all sorts of things like that with racing. And when I was starting my career, I was still in college, and a lot of the projects that I would do would be from behind the scenes stuff at all the various racetracks that we would go to. That people normally don't get to see from the TV or from the grandstands.
So, when you played quarterback at SMU, do you find any similarities between a race team and a football team?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people try to think that NASCAR drivers and crew members are athletes. And when you think about, we'll say for example, Sterling Marlin, one of the best race car drivers that ever came, through NASCAR. And before he got into racing, he was a quarterback playing football in school, and ended up hanging up his helmet and picking up a steering wheel. So, in my case, it was no different. Once you have a competitive spirit and want to get involved in high intensity sports, whether it be football, racing, rodeo, tiddlywinks, whatever you want to say. It's a pretty easy transition. The competitive side of it, the teamwork aspect of it, obviously the physical capabilities that go along with it. A lot of these crew members that go over the wall and do the pit stops, and they're former professional athletes, either right out of college or former NFL players or professional baseball players. There's a lot of guys that can tell you where they came from as well, and that's why I think the brotherhood of it all is very similar to football. The camaraderie, and when it was time to go to battle with a lot of these guys on the racetrack, everybody suits up and it's time to go to work, and it's no different than on the football field.
So, where would you like to see yourself in the near future with your racing career, and what are you willing to do in order to get yourself there?
Well, I mean, again, that's up to the good Lord on what happens with that. I'm enjoying being home a lot, more often now with my wife and my son, and catching up on stuff that I haven't been able to do in the past 10 years, like hanging out with a lot of my friends from the high school and college, and going hunting and fishing, and working on my farm here in Texas. I haven't got to really enjoy stuff like that, and going to concerts and crawfish boils, and just all the everyday things that we take for granted when you're on the road 24/7 with NASCAR. I mean, you're home for 2 or 3 days, and then you're gone again to the next event, the next week. And you get to a point where a hotel room is more comfortable than your own bed at your house. I mean, you just get so accustomed to traveling and sleeping in hotels and being on the go all the time. It's kind of nice to have a slower pace of life and have time to go to church and spend a lot of time with my family and things that really matter. But as this deal came up about Daytona, if another opportunity arises, you can bet that I'll jump on it and climb back behind the wheel if available. And if another opportunity comes about to run a half season or a full season, that's something that my wife and I will discuss, and we'll just pray about it and go from there.
You ever thought about talking to Stuart Haas?
Who hasn't? I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that would love to talk to them, and it's pretty neat to hear that they've gone to Ford for next season. I thought that they were in with Chevrolet, tighter than Hendricks or Childress or any of those guys. But I guess you kind of think about it. Roush and Front Row Motorsports are basically the only teams in Cup that have any kind of Ford affiliation that they can put to good use. Most everybody else is with Chevrolet or Toyota. So I'm eager to see, what Stuart Haas is going to be able to do this next season, especially now that they're going to have Roush to help them out with everything. I mean, you see how their cars run here in the past couple of years. They're always competitive, and they're in the mix. And, I hate it, that Tony Stewart got hurt, this year, but, I know that he was talking about this might be his final year to race, but he may change his mind if he doesn't heal up and, get back behind the wheel to where he can run a full season for maybe next year, but we'll see how the chips fall and what he decides to do, and, just everybody just pray for him and, do what you can do for him,
Yep. You got any more questions for him, Al?
I just want to ask if he knows what's the difference in the Dallas Cowboys and mosquitoes. You know the difference?
Cowboys and the Redskins?
No. You know the difference in the Cowboys and mosquitoes?
Well, I haven't heard this one, so you might as well just let me have it.
Mosquitoes will eventually stop sucking.
Yeah, waka waka. All you Redskins fans out there, y'all can just, do what y'all want, But I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, and always will be, regardless of their record or their scenarios or drama at the quarterback positions or whatever. I've been a fan since the day I was born, and I'll die a fan. So, and, anytime Washington or any of y'all East Coast boys come to town, it's gonna be on.
I think they handled didn't they handle them this year? Twice?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, every year tells a different tale. But, I'm eager to see what the scenario is going to be this next season with the Cowboys on whether or not they put a lot of focus on a backup quarterback. And, I think, with Romo being hurt, he's more susceptible to getting hurt again this next season. But then again, he's proven himself to go out and be a game changer whenever he plays. So, I've heard rumor that Manziel may be coming to Dallas, but then again,
that would be awful.
Yeah.
What's the name of the prison there? That's about the only way he's going to make it to Dallas.
That would be awful.
Yeah. I mean, that's between the Cowboys and the Raiders, man. They're the ones that get all the guys who like to cause a ruckus. So, but if they can play, they can play. But
I got a question about the Cowboy fans in Texas. Do they drive around with the flags on their cars and the stickers, and do they always wear a cowboy hat or shirt everywhere they go? Or is that just here in Virginia?
Well, now, is this coming from a Hokie fan, or is this just coming from, a standard, what do y'all root for over there in Washington mostly, right?
There's no Hokie fans in this room, believe me.
It's
We don't have feathers in our hat,
it's coming.
We fly flags and
There you go.
wear t-shirts and cowboy hats and the whole kit and caboodle out here.
I just wanted to make sure it just wasn't here in Virginia, because the cowboy fans will wear their hat and their T-shirt every day of the year.
Oh yeah, I still wear mine. I still get looks when I go in the hardware store here in town. They're like, oh, you're still rooting for them, huh? Heck yeah, that's what fans, kind of don't understand. We're supposed to cheer for our teams and drivers, and you don't have to pick just one team. I got a bunch of favorite teams. The Broncos, the Packers, Saints, but the Cowboys are my team.
Panthers.
It's no different. Go ahead.
I said Panthers are in there too.
Well, Panthers got a bunch of bandwagon fans.
Oh yeah, we did this year.
Oh god.
I was flying on the heck right there around the Super Bowl. I was going to a couple different airports, and they all were selling Carolina Panthers merchandise, whether it be in Dallas or Charlotte or Florida, wherever. It was pretty funny.
Well, Robert, let me go ahead and let you get out of here. I know you got some stuff to do around the farm there. It's all probably about supper time by now.
Well, I'm pretty sure I gotta go have the diaper to change, and my wife's in there kind of mean mugging me because she's got dinner ready. So
You should have told us that a little bit ago.
eat before it gets cold, and try to keep Mama happy at the same time. So, but nonetheless, it's good to hear from you boys, and I've missed talking to y'all and being on the show. And if you guys ever need anything, don't hesitate to call.
All right, Robert.
Thank you.
Nice to hear from you again, too, bud.
Have a blessed day.
All right, you too.
All right, you too.
Bye bye.
Yeah, Robert is one of the
He's a good old Texas
He's
original
good.
there, boy.
But that's the difference of the Cowboys and mosquitoes. Mosquitoes will eventually quit sucking.
So that'll work with just about any team.
Yeah,
Pretty
well,
much.
Yeah.
I can hear some people throwing that at the Redskins too.
Oh yeah.
Can't do it. Can't say that this year.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your most recent year.
Yep.
You can say it for Cam Newton.
Oh, let me tell you what. Y'all weren't here last week.
No, I watched it on tape. I saw your.
I just can't believe
I saw
Cam
your
Newton
rant about
compared to what Truex did.
Truex did versus what. Yeah. Well, when you're self-absorbed, as Cam is, the only person important is you.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that the team lost. The Super Bowl. It was all about how upset he was that he didn't get to prance around and do his Superman pose and all the things that he had imagined himself doing.
Right.
He was so disappointed that he didn't get a chance to do any of it.
Well, you know where Cam Newton would have gone to dinner if he had won the Super Bowl?
What, In-N-Out Burger?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, Buffalo.
Okay, yeah,
All right,
okay.
there you
Well, I
go.
got you. That's a good segue there.
Let's go.
It all comes back to food, doesn't it?
They gotta have.
Have you ever
have
eaten
chili and
at
salad.
By the
Billy
way,
Bob's?
did you guys see all the penalties that came out of Atlanta?
Oh yeah.
Well, I know about the
The
roof
P3
flat
penalties?
stuff. I
Yeah,
don't know about
they
the other
really
ones. What is it?
The P3 grade penalties they got.
Yeah, well, that's the roof flat. But
Yeah,
who
it was
else got
50 grand and one race miss, but they're appealing that, so he'll be at Vegas. And then a bunch of children's teams got hit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I heard him take
What was
all
their
these
penalty?
the supports, the little extra support defenders to make them a little more stiff. They had like 6 teams that had to pull the extra supports out. They weren't all children's teams either.
Okay.
You gotta cheat us to beat us. All right, folks. We'll see you next
We'll see you next week.
We'll see everybody
Anybody
next
near an
week.
In-N-Out burger, go out and have one for
Yeah,
Al.
one for me, 'cause I'm coming that way, baby.
Get in that lane.
Later, everybody. Next week. Let's talk racing. We're out of here.